Good morning everyone, especially to our dear subject teacher Ma'am Carmela Capansana. I am here to report the scientific on UHS in Module 5, specific issues in science, technology, and society. The lesson 6, climate change. Before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Maribel Ruz and I am currently a first year student at Philippine Normal University, South Luzon. And now, let us start with the content of my report. First, climate. Second one, climate system major components. Third, types of climate. Fourth, definition of climate change and its causes. Before I discuss the lesson 6, which is climate change, let us know first what is climate. Climate, it is the average weather in a given area over a long period of time and does not change from day to day like weather. It includes information on example given, the average temperature in different seasons, rainfall and sunshine. Another one, climate is determined by a region's climate system. A climate system have 5 major components: atmosphere, hydrosphere, cyrosphere, land surface or lithosphere, and biosphere. To further understand the 5 major components, let us talk about one by one. Number 1, atmosphere. It is a mixture of gases that surrounds the earth. It protects us from the sun's damaging rays, prevents us from getting too warm or too cold, provides us with oxygen and water. Main gases are nitrogen, 78%, and oxygen, 21%. Without the atmosphere, days would become extremely hot and night would become extremely cold. And all living things on earth will not exist in the world. Let's proceed to number 2. Hydrosphere is the liquid water component of the earth. It includes the oceans, seas, lakes, ponds, rivers, and streams. The hydrosphere covers about 70% of the surface of the earth and is the home for many plants and animals. The ocean serves 2 main purposes in the climate system. First, it is a large reservoir of chemicals that can contribute to the greenhouse effect in the atmosphere and energy absorbing 90% of the solar radiation which hits the surface. This reservoir changes very slowly, limiting how fast the climate can change. Second, it works with the atmosphere to redistribute the energy received from the sun, such that the heat in the tropics, where a lot of energy is received from the sun, is transferred toward the poles where heat is generally lost to space. Third, cyrosphere. It is the portion of the Earth's surface where water is in a solid form, usually as snow or ice. This includes sea ice, freshwater ice, snows, glaciers, and frozen grounds, or permafrost. We all knew that snow and ice are an important part of the global climate system. The cyrosphere protects Earth from getting too warm. The presence or absence of snow and ice, it can affect heating and cooling over Earth's surface, influencing the entire planet's energy balance. Let us talk about the number 4, biosphere, combined portion of the planet in which all of life exists, including land, water, and atmosphere. Biosphere plays an integral role to support the life of organisms and their mutual interaction. It is a vital element in climate regulation. Let's talk about the last type, land surface or lithosphere. Lithosphere is the solid rock that covers the planet. This includes the crust as well as the very uppermost part of the mantle, which is solid rock. All of the rock on Earth from the mountains to the seafloor is included in the lithosphere. It is important to climate system because it interacts with the atmosphere, hydrosphere, and cyrosphere to influence temperature differences on Earth. The mountain range of the lithosphere is interacting with the lower air pressure of the atmosphere and the snowy precipitation of the hydrosphere to create a cool or even icy climate zone. Let's proceed to the types of climate. First one is tropical climate. In this hot and humid zone, the average temperatures are greater than 64 degrees Fahrenheit year-round and there is more than 59 inches of precipitation each year. We have three types of tropical climate. First one, tropical wet, or also known as rainforest. In this type of tropical climate, it has most predictable weather on Earth, with warm temperatures and regular rainfall. Second types of tropical group, tropical monsoon, that is found in certain Asia and West Africa. To further understand it, I will define the word monsoon. It's a wind system that reverses its direction every 6 months, and it is usually flow from sea to land in the summer and from land to sea in the winter. The last type of tropical group is tropical wet and dry, or sometimes called savanna. In this type of tropical climate, life in this climate is depends on the wet season's rains. When rains are light, all living things including human can suffer drought. Then, if there is rainy years, regions may experience flooding. Let's talk about the number 2, dry climate. These climate zones are so dry because moisture is rapidly evaporated from the air and there is very little precipitation. We have two types of dry climate. First one is arid climate. 10 to 30 centimeters of rain received. And the second one is semi-arid climate that receive enough rain to support extensive grasslands. Let's proceed to the third type of climate, which is temperate climate. In this zone, there are typically warm and humid summers with thunderstorms and mild winters. In this type of climate, it influenced mostly by latitude and the region's position on the continent. Let us proceed to number 4, continental climate. These regions have warm to cool summers and very cold winters. In the winter, this zone can experience snowstorms, strong winds, and very cold temperatures, sometimes falling below negative 22 degrees. We have three types of continental climate. First one is warm summer that have wet seasons, followed by cool summer that have winters with low temperature and snow. The last type is subarctic summer, which the north of regions have cold summer climates. All in all, these climates experience extreme seasonal changes. Let's proceed to number 5, the last one, polar climate. In the polar climate zone, extremely cold. Even in summer, the temperature never go higher than 50 degrees. We have two types of polar climate. First one is tundra, which the summer are short but plants and animals are plentiful. Number 2, ice cap. Few organisms survive in the ice cap climates of the Arctic and Antarctic. As you can see in the picture, in the example of that ice cap, there is few animals or organisms survive in this type of polar climate, like polar bear. Let's proceed to the next slide. Climate zones. Climate zones that appear on globe. Here is the legend. In the letter A, with the color of orange, represents the tropical climate, and the letter V, with the color of yellow, represents the dry climate. Letter C, with the color of green, represents the temperate climate. Letter D, with the color of violet, represents the continental climate. Letter E, with the color of blue, represents the polar climate. What classification of climate does the Philippines have? Climate type in the Philippines. As you can see in the future, we have two types of climate, dry season and wet season. We have four types. In the first type, we will experience in the month of November to April a dry season and the rest of the year wet season. Second type, we can experience dry season but in a wet season, maximum rain period from December to February and the minimum rainfall during the period from March to May. And the third dry type will experience a short dry season either during the period from December to February or from March to May, and the wet season is no very pronounced maximum rain period. In the fourth type, we can experience dry season but in wet season, rainfall evenly distributed throughout the year. As you can see, our country Philippines is categorized as tropical climate. Philippines country most at risk from a climate crisis. Why? According to the report published in 2019 by the Institute for Economics and Peace, Philippines has 7,600 plus islands of southeast coast China. So that it is the one causes. That's why Philippines is at risk in climate. As you can see in the image, the title is Overall Natural Hazard Score. Philippines is the first country that is in higher risk in climate, followed by Japan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, China, Indonesia, India, Vietnam, and Pakistan. After the information about climate, let's talk about climate change and its causes. What is climate change? It refers to the statistically significant changes in climate for a continuous period of time. There are factors that contribute to climate change. Natural internal process, external forces, and persistent anthropogenic changes in the composition of the atmosphere or in land use. Then, it can also be due to natural occurrences or contributed by acts of human beings. We have two major causes of climate change, natural causes and human causes. And I am the one who will discuss the natural causes. And the human causes will be discussed by my co-reporter, Jenny Simeon Saturay. And the rest of the topic will be discussed by Maxine Villar. First natural causes is volcanic eruption. The eruption of volcanoes can cause climate change because it emits different natural aerosols like carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, salt crystals, volcanic ashes or dust, and even microorganisms like bacteria and viruses. During volcanic eruption, a lot of ash released into the atmosphere. This ash, if enters the atmosphere high enough, can remain in the atmosphere for a long time and block the sunlight. Here is the feature of volcanic eruption. It can cause a cooling effect to the lithosphere because its emitted can block a certain percentage of solar radiation. This cooling effect can last for 1 to 2 years. The volcanic ashes receive sulfur dioxide combined with water vapor. It then forms the sulfuric acid and sulfurous aerosols. The sulfurous aerosols then are transported by easterly or westerly winds. Volcanoes located near the equator are more likely to cause global cooling because of the wind pattern. Volcanoes emit the greenhouse gas, which causes the temperature to rise. The Earth was once a planet full of ice, but due to a lot of volcanic activity, a lot of carbon dioxide was emitted and the temperature on Earth slowly increased. Let's proceed to the orbital changes. Earth's orbit can also cause climate change. This was proposed by Milankovitch theory. Milankovitch theory states that as the Earth travels through space around the Sun, cyclical variations in three elements of Earth-Sun geometry combine to produce variations in the amount of solar energy that reaches Earth by Emporia 2017. The theory Milankovitch is named for Serbian astronomer Milutin Milankovitch. Milankovitch variables are a final natural influence. Milankovitch thought that the temperature on Earth was influenced by three variables or three cyclical variations related to the position of the Earth relative to the Sun. In short, the point is that if the northern hemisphere receives less energy from the Sun in the summer, the ice on the North Pole will not melt and an ice age may arise. First, the three elements that have cyclic variation. First, eccentricity is used to describe the shape of Earth's orbit around the Sun. And the Earth does not orbit the Sun in a circle, but in an ellipse shape in which the Sun is not centered. The point in eccentricity, where the Earth is closest to the Sun, is annually at the beginning of January, so in July, the Earth is farthest from the Sun. This is summer in the northern hemisphere. Because of the distance, the Earth receives less energy from the Sun. The ice in northern hemisphere melts less quickly. This could be the beginning of an ice age. If there is a circular shape, the Earth is close to the Sun at the beginning of July. This gives the northern hemisphere more energy and the ice melts. This prevents the formation of an ice age. The eccentricity changes approximately every 100,000 years. Next, obliquity. It is the variation of the tilt of the Earth's axis away from the orbital plane. As this tilt changes, the seasons become more exaggerated. Obliquity. The Earth axis has a tilt of 23.5 degrees, but this changes between 22 and 24.5 degrees. As you can see in the picture, the wider the angle, 40 degree, the more the northern hemisphere turns toward the Sun in summer. As you can see, there is a warm summer and then high humidity. If there is the smaller angle, which is 10, the less ice melt because there is low sun and then cool summer and low humidity. And the greater the chance of ice age when there is a smaller angle, 10. Obliquity changes approximately every 41,000 years. The last one is precession, is the change in orientation of Earth's rotational axis. Where is the feature of precession? The full movement around the Earth's axis that changes every 26,000 years. Here the first two effects are amplified or limited depending on the eccentricity and obliquity. Here is the reference of my report. Thank you and God bless.